My name is Patrick Kelley. Here at the Institute of Medicine, I direct the Board on Global Health, and for the entire National Academies complex, I direct the Board on African Science Academy Development. I'd like to welcome you all this morning to the 9th workshop of the Forum on Global Violence Prevention, this workshop being entitled The Means of Violence. This is a season of peace, or it's supposed to be a season of peace, but unfortunately we are reminded that it's still a very violent world. And it's not always violence out there. It can be close to home as well. 2 years ago this month, the nation suffered the shock of the Sandy Hook killings. We've seen school shootings continue. Though it's not exactly the type of violence we address here, I'm also thinking a lot in the last day or two about the killings at the school in Pakistan, where 130 or so students and 9 staff were killed. So we have a tremendous agenda in front of us to help advance solutions to the problem of violence. About 2 years ago, in the wake of Sandy Hook, President Obama came up with a list of things that he wanted to initiate to address violence and violence using firearms. And he directed that the CDC reinstitute a research agenda relating to the prevention of that type of violence. The CDC, in partnership with the CDC Foundation, came to the Institute of Medicine and asked us to do this report, which is entitled Priorities for Research to Reduce the Threat of Firearm-Related Violence. It was a report that was done in the space of about 3 months to rapidly generate for the government and other research funders an agenda for better understanding what could be done to prevent firearm-related research. There was a tension there between being rapid, everybody wanted to address this as quickly as possible, and being thorough. Sometimes you can't be both rapid and thorough at the same time. So I have to admit there were some issues that we wanted to address when we did this report that were, it was not possible to address them with the thoroughness that we wanted. Fortunately, we had some funding left over, and the first half of this workshop is using some of that funding to help address some of the topics, such as the relationship between alcohol and violence or youth acquisition of firearms. Some of those topics that we wished we had been able to study more effectively when we were doing that project. So we have many sponsors of the work that you'll be experiencing today and tomorrow, but in particular for today's work, I would like to acknowledge the pivotal role of the CDC Foundation as well as the Joyce Foundation. Nina Vinnick in particular from the Joyce Foundation was very helpful, and the New Venture Fund. They have made the discussions that we will be having today possible. The discussions today will be based on 3 commissioned papers that will be thoroughly discussed, and they were able to fund the production of those 3 papers. So I'd just like to publicly acknowledge today the critical contributions of those 3 organizations. I'd also, before I get too far into this, want to acknowledge the planning committee for the workshop today and tomorrow. Evelyn Tomaszewski, who's been a member of the forum from the beginning. We're very pleased she could be one of the planners. Steve Hargarten. Steve is a new member of the forum. And Shelley Greenberg. Where's Shelley now? Shelley, oh, there you are. is also a new member of the forum. Evelyn, I just gave you a shout out and you weren't here. Well, that's Evelyn. With no further ado, having welcomed you, I'd like to now introduce Fran Henry, who is the acting chair for the forum today and tomorrow. Fran not only was a founding member of the forum, I would say she was the founding inspiration for the forum. She came to us at the IOM about 7 years ago, bringing with her not only her commitment to violence prevention, but also her commitment to science and evidence as the foundation for violence prevention. And she really had the dream that we need to bring together regularly people from multiple sectors. And that's what this forum does very, very well. We have people from multiple government agencies here, academia, foundations, professional associations. We have people not only from the United States, but from a number of foreign countries who are members. And Fran was truly the inspiration for this happening. She mobilized the initial seed funding for us to develop the idea. I call her our godmother. And with that, I'd like to welcome Fran Henry.